Hi everybody, this is a Grixis Arcane Bombardment deck that wants to reuse a lot of powerful spells and goes hand in hand with some of the prototype creatures from Brotherhood's War. We've got Phyrexian Fleshgorger and Arcane Proxy in here as some of the only permanents in the deck. I am shockingly playing creatures for once, but they go really well with a bunch of cards in this deck, and I've tried to structure it in such a way that really takes advantage of each of these. So let's start off a little bit with the spells. We've got some Cut Down and Dreams of Steel and Oil on the low end, cheap ways to activate Bombardment and interact early with our opponent's things. Then we've got a number of small spells that I happen to enjoy. Siphon Insight is a great card for pulling stuff out of our opponent's library. We've got some Abrade, some Sheoldred's Edict, and Go for the Throat as removal. One of Negate just to keep our opponents on their toes, and then 2 Impulse for some great card selection off the top of our library. This goes along with Maestros Charm, which kind of has a similar effect, and a couple more flexible modes. Really wanted to try a deck with 4 copies of this card, because we can get it under a bombardment and do some repeatable burn and life gain with it as an extra win condition, and it's also great for finding our bombardment, finding our smaller spells that we need, or just pulling up another artifact creature if we want one. Over here, we've got 3 copies of Big Score, 3 copies of Invoke Despair, and then 3 copies of Grixis Command. It kind of took me a while to find the right deck to put this in an Arcane Bombardment style shell, but it's kind of nice in here. So we can destroy a bunch of small creatures, make our opponent sacrifice 1 big creature, and then we can also return 2 creatures from our graveyard to our hand. Most often, it's going to be our Fleshgorger and Arcane Proxy, of course. If we happen to have one on the battlefield, the command can also add 2 counters to that creature and give it lifelink if it doesn't have it already. The nice thing about Fleshgorger is that we can play it on 3 as a good blocker or as some early pressure against a control deck. We don't really care if it dies because we're going to get it back later with Grixis Command. Arcane Proxy, on the other hand, can come down for 3 mana, and it will let us reuse all of our 2 and 1 mana removal that we've been playing so far. So it's kind of nice to go Cut Down turn 1, something like Sheoldred's Edict on turn 2, and then be able to follow up with Arcane Proxy and do it all again on turn 3 and leave a blocker behind. So this guy was pretty fun. Even later in the game, its full price mode can cast a lot of our spells in here for free and come with a slightly bigger body, so it helps us to get a little more reuse out of some of our cheap stuff. Then once we've drawn into some more lands, we can of course play Arcane Bombardment and start reusing our bigger showstoppers like Invoke Despair and Grixis Command all over again. So let's get over and see a few games with this deck over on the Ranked Standard ladder. I'll be with you for some commentary, of course, but as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. All right, let's get into it. Great looking starting hand for Grixis. Just need to pick up a little blue mana to cast these Maestros Charms. Got our high-end stuff already. Excellent. Pick up there Phyrexian Fleshgorger for us. It's always a tricky card to say. That'll let us have a little threat here for the mid-game. Opponent's going to aim for the heads. We got to exile 2 things from our hand. Actually a pretty good card against a Arcane Bombardment style deck. We'll discard one of those charms at least. Let's get down our Fleshgorger. Just the small version for the moment. But the plan is to get it back later, maybe with Grixis Command. Gonna Hero's Downfall. So this feels a little like discardy Black Control, sort of. Get our 4th land down here. Only thing we can do at this point is Maestro's Charm, so we might need to go looking for land number 5 and Invoke Despair on time, or just hope that we draw it here. Aggressive Sabotage. So we're going to discard 2 more. Well, at least they go to the graveyard, so let's get rid of Command and 1 of these Invoke Despairs. I'm going to Maestro's Charm here and take a look off the top. Ooh, tough choice there. We're going to have to put 1 bombardment into the grave, and of course we draw the land anyway, but really wanted to get off this Invoke Despair for a draw 3. Well, there's 3 more bombardments left in the deck, and we're getting a pretty well-stocked graveyard here, too. Let's get down our Shipwreck Marsh. Pass it on back to the opponent, who's got a Phyrexian Arena. Ugh. Well, let's Siphon Insight here, see if there's anything good just to pilfer for our opponent. Let's do it again. Well, If we pick up a Bombardment, it might help us to cast a spell. Maybe we can pick up an Invoke Despair from them. Ooh, Phyrexian Arena. Yes. Rather have that over Painful Quandary, since this actually does something for us. Gonna pilfer here, take a look at the opponent's hand. I think it's the Corrupt. We don't have too many creatures for them to target with Hero's Downfall. If they want a Grixis command, not sure what they would get back yet. Alright, opponent with the Painful Quandary of their own. We've got one of their Phyrexian Arenas going now, though, so that's great, especially since we're at 19 and they're at 10. Let's pass it on back here. The plan is to big score on their turn. Opponent just passing again. Let's big score. We're going to discard one land for the big score itself, and another land for the Painful Quandary cost. We get Edict and a Fleshgorger. Our arena goes off, so we net 2 cards. It's really going to help us pay for this Quandary cost going forward. Let's put out a full price Fleshgorger here. Let's resolve that, and we can discard this mountain. That should be fine. Alright. Well, now if our opponent wants to meaningfully interact with that, the choice is pretty much just Gix's command. Or make a liar out of me, that's fine. Opponent going to target that with Hero's Downfall and pay the life. Ouch. Okay, well, Phyrexian Arena will go off. That'll bring our opponent down to 1. They might be hoping to dig up a Corrupt and push themselves back up a little, and they don't. Wow. Close game. Good one. All right, we got to mulligan that. There's not enough early game stuff. We can keep this one, though. We'll put back 1 Bombardment. We've got all of our colors. All we need is 1 land here to activate Maestros Charm for our 3rd and 4th land. Great. Let's start off with Xander's Lounge. Opponent starting off real quick with a Monastery Swift Spear here. Follows that up with a Phoenix Chick. They're just going to get in for 2, though. No spells on this turn, and it looks like they missed their land drop. That is great news for us. Let's do a Dreams of Steel and Oil rather than play this Sheoldred's Edict here. Voltaic Visionary, huh? Well, let's take one of those. They do have another one, a Riveteer's Requisitioner. Alright, so they've got land number 2. They're going to go Reckless Impulse, which will trigger the Swift Spear, and they just pick up 2 lands. Not sure if that's what they were looking for or not. And let's get our land number 3 down. Let's play our Fleshgorger. We've taken a peek at that hand. Not too afraid of what's going on over there. Opponent plays land number 3. We do have this proxy here. We can maybe start reusing removal. Opponent's going to blitz out the Riveteer's Requisitioner and attacks with both that and the Phoenix Chick. I think we're going to let that through. No blocks from us, so they'll draw and get a treasure, but no other plays for the turn. We are still stuck on 3 lands here. Let's do a Maestro's Charm. I'd like to get rid of the Monastery Swift Spear. That's got the most upside as they look to continue to cast spells, and we'll get in with the Phyrexian Fleshgorger, give ourselves a little bit of life. There's the second Voltaic Visionary. We knew about that. All right, and a third one they've picked up since then. Okay, opponent's going to get in for 2. We pick up Negate off the top. Still no 4th land. Let's Maestro's Charm, get rid of one of these Visionaries. Let's get in for 3. We're kind of at parity with the amount of damage that they're able to do with those creatures. And we might be able to sneakily finish him off maybe with a Maestro's Charm here. See, that attack just brought us down to 12. All right, Siphon Insight on our opponent. We'll take the mountain. No choice there. Let's play it. Not much else that will allow us to do, so we'll get in with the Fleshgorger again, and we're up to 15. Let's see. When it flips, it can't block the Visionary. And we've got to deal damage. We can exile a card off the top here. Looks like they're going to do that. That costs a little bit of life, though. They pick up a Requisitioner. Oh, you just got to play the card that you exile. Okay. That is a total of 5. That'll bring us down to 10. Requisitioner sacrifices itself, gets a treasure and a card draw for our opponent. Let's continue to attack. I mean, we just picked up a cut down. Let's cut down on that one. We've got a Sheoldred's Edict in hand, so if we cast it on this board, they'll likely sacrifice the chick, and we'll only take 4 from the flipped Visionary. Opponent with a Mechanized Warfare. That would have been deadly early on, but we might be okay. Yeah, let's negate it. We've only got 1 card left. We're not really in danger of burning out unless they land that card. And another Phoenix Chick. All right. Well, that would have stacked up a lot of damage. We take 6 and go to 7. We draw a big score. Let's attack with the Fleshgorger. That'll take our opponent to 1. We can big score here. Discard this Arcane Proxy. Get a couple of cards. All right, so we've got targeted removal now, not just an Edict. Opponent with another Phoenix Chick. They're out of cards. That's only 7. We'll just take it. That should be game. And it is. All right. Good game. All right, back here with another one. We've got kind of a land-heavy opening hand here. Just cut down Abrade and a big score. If we don't pick up blue by the time we big score, then we can use those treasures for our couple of blue cards that are in here. Not too much. Opponent looking like they're red and green so far. Nothing on turn 2 for them. We'll get down our second land and just pass it back. Opponent with land number 3. What do you got? Careful Cultivation. So they're going to channel out a monk. Let us cut that down right now. I know that nobody plays that card unless you're doing nefarious combo things with it. So there's I think it's Chaotic Transformation. It's a 6-mana sorcery that basically you take one of your creatures and you turn it into Atraxa, essentially, is what I've seen most of the time. Atraxa or something else large. Let's big score here. Get rid of this Abrade. We pick up Grixis Command. And we've got Invoke Despair. Let's see. Let's Invoke Despair because then we can keep up Negate. Not that they're exactly rushing towards Chaotic Transformation, but they've got that weird combo feel. All right, and this is weird. Let's pass the turn. We're going to have to discard. Feels weird to discard a land. Let's get rid of Cut Down. If they have another monk to play, we can always Abrade that. And now we've got Arcane Proxy, too, if we want to reuse Cut Down. All right, opponent thinking about it. Thought we might see another monk there. Let's see. Let's get down basic prototype version of the Fleshgorger. Pass it on back. We'll keep up Negate, Siphon Insight, or Abrade. Opponent with a Brotherhood's End. Yeah, that's all right. We'll let that go. We've got a way to get that card back and a backup copy. Let's point a Siphon Insight at our opponent. There it is. Chaotic Transformation. Well, let's take that. Don't really need the land. And let's do just a regular priced version of this. Regular Fleshgorger. Still kind of threatening, especially to an opponent with nothing on the board. Oh, but that's a leveler down there. Alright, so they've got another Brotherhood's End. Leveler in the grave. A ways off from casting it, though. End of their turn. Let's just skip any action there. Play out this Blackcleave Cliffs tapped. And let's pass. Kind of considering doing a transformation. So it would either pull out a Arcane Proxy or it would pull out one of the two remaining Fleshgorgers in our deck. Let's Abrade that monk. Might as well keep them from ramping as best we can. Our turn. We're going to play Xander's Lounge. Gix's Command could be interesting. Let's see. We've got 2 Fleshgorgers. That is it for down there. Could do a Siphon Insight. Oh, we could do Chaotic Transformation. That could be fun. I mean, odds are it's essentially paying 7 to go dig up a Fleshgorger from the library and put it into play. Or at least a big Arcane Proxy. So we'll submit this artifact. I guess submit a land. That might leave us something to play Negate with. So we get... Alright, we got Fleshgorger. What did we miss on lands? I must be misremembering that card. Oh no, we got one. We just don't have blue anymore. Alright. So opponent is going to make another monk with Careful Cultivation. Really working on that transmutation game plan. But we've got a full price Fleshgorger with Menace. Can't be blocked by monks alone. We'll get in for 7. Threatening lethal next turn. Let's command here. We'll destroy each small creature and return some creatures from the graveyard to our hand. Don't need to really put counters on these guys. And let's... Yep, just pass it on back. Could have played this Fleshgorger, but it'll be fine. Was hoping to keep up 1 blue for Negate, but we don't have any blue anymore since we unwisely shuffled our Xander's Lounge back into the library. Opponent with a big score gets him a couple of treasures. But unless they've got some kind of interaction, yep, I was going to say, you're going to have to pay 7 either way. Good game. All right, back here with another one. Some small Grixis spells and Arcane Bombardment. Hey, we've actually got blue for this game. That's pretty good. We draw Negate. Got some nice spells for turns 2 and 3. And our opponent appears to be on the mono blue train. Nope, wait. That was a red card. Hold on. Yeah, looks like some kind of Is-It flavor. That's a little more interesting. Versus mono blue, it's a pretty straightforward game plan for Arcane Bombardment decks. You try to bait out the counter spells and run them out of resources. Land an Arcane Bombardment when they don't expect it. And then basically go on to win from there, as they can't really outpace the value that we get from repeated spell casting. They're going to hit us in the face with Play with Fire for 2, do a little scry, and put something on the bottom. Opponent going to Reckless Impulse. Looks like they see a Brotherhood's End and a Mountain. And just passing it on back. Let's Maestros Charm then. Take a look at the top 5. Fleshgorger, Maestros Charm, and Gix's Command, plus a couple of lands. Let's take a Fleshgorger. Be nice to have a little bit of a threat to play out here and make our opponent spend some of that removal. It'll give any future Grixis commands a target. We can see a little bit more of what they're working on over there. Some of the different red and blue decks I've seen lean on Third Path Iconoclast. Fill the board with some soldiers. Opponent's just going to Brotherhood's End away our Fleshgorger. And go with Tolarian Terror. Okay, so this might not be like a tokens-based one. This might be sort of a riff on the mono-blue style. Well, we're one black mana short of Invoke Despair. Abrade's not enough to get rid of the Terror. Might as well big score now while it won't get countered. Discard this other big score. We pick up Invoke Despair number 2 and a blue and red land. Opponent doing some thinking. Haven't missed any of their land drops. Looks like they were poking around in their own graveyard too, which always makes me a little nervous. And that's why. So they've got a Leer, Disciple of the Damned. So they're going to be able to play spells from their library. Good news is, though, decks that run Leer tend to not run any counterspells at all, which was kind of one of the things I was worried about. So let's get our Invoke Despair going. Won't have to worry about counter magic on future turns, most likely. And they sacrifice the Terror to keep Leer around. Interesting. Let's see. Consider play with fire. Nothing to save Leer in their hand for 1 red. Let's go for the Throat It. We can save this Sheoldred's Edict in case our opponent plays more Tolarian Terror. It's a great way to get rid of that. Alright, in response, opponent's going to play with fire our face from the graveyard, and they will put 1 on the bottom. Leer goes to the grave, and our opponent is down to just 3 cards in hand, and they pass it on back. We draw Blackcleave Cliffs, which we can play. Let's pass it on over. No more mana left to Invoke Despair until next turn, unfortunately. So let's Impulse here. Let's take Grixis command, the only good thing. Would have been nice to see a Negate there. That would make me feel a little better, although, as I mentioned, they probably don't have any counterspells. Let's see here. Let's try Grixis command. Return something from our graveyard and do a meaningless other mode. Can't cast it just yet. We'll pass it on back, keep up some of our cheap interaction. Nothing from the opponent. Let's Impulse then. Proxy, Siphon Insight, and another Gorger. Let's do Siphon Insight. We're kind of well situated for anything that can come up, and so should our opponent get through this stuff, it'd be nice to pull something else off the top of their deck and make things a little more interesting. Just a regular Fleshgorger for us. We can keep some spells up. Opponent going to Lightning Strike us, so they're going to try to just go over top of this Fleshgorger and maybe burn us out. Okay, they were thinking about it. Another Lightning Strike at us. Takes us to 5. Tolarian Terror. Alright. So were they trying to burn us out, or were they trying to fill up the grave? Maybe a little bit of both. We got this Edict here, and saving that for a rainy day. We'll make our opponent sacrifice this Terror. Nope, they've got a Fading Hope to bring it back to the hand. Alright, well, they're out of blue, so it's stuck up in their hand for 1 more turn. And we draw an Abrade. Well, for starters, let's get in. See if we can't hit our opponent with this. Alright, Fleshgorger does 3 damage and gains us back 3 life. And Invoke Despair time? Yes. That leaves us with all of our colors to do some things. We got some lands anyway, that's nice. Back up Fleshgorger. Let's just play it. We've got a Grixis command. If they wipe these off the board, we can sort of threaten getting them close to lethal. Opponent fires off a Consider. Another main phase Consider. Really digging for something here. What do they find? Thrill of Possibility. Doing a lot of digging. Reckless Impulse. Land number 3 into Vampire's Vengeance. Not quite enough. Opponent's going to scoop it up there. Good game. All right, I think we can do one more with this. This looks good. Interaction for the first couple of turns into Big Score, into Invoke Despair, and from there, the sky's the limit. Opponent's starting off with just a forest. Let's see what flavor of green they're playing with. Mono green. Armored Scrapgorger from our opponent. Well, let's get all of our colors down and immediately Abrade this Scrapgorger. No sense in letting our opponent get ahead mana-wise. Opponent with land number 3 into Cankerbloom. They can destroy an artifact or destroy an enchantment. So that is kind of going to rain on our eventual hopeful bombardment parade. Let's make them sacrifice that before it can do any damage to our numerous artifacts and enchantments. Opponent with a Filigree Silex. Interesting. I am not familiar with this one. Let's play our Shipwreck Marsh here. Put an oil counter on it. Can clear the board or do damage. So this probably means the rest of the deck is full of oil counters and oil counter generators, proliferators, probably the loaded contaminator. Let's get down a basic Arcane Proxy. Eventually. Opponent having a look in our graveyard. It's not like they're in blue so they can counter it, but they must be trying to see what's going on. Alright, regular Proxy comes down. We're going to Abrade and destroy that Silex. Gets us a creature on board. Gets rid of things that they can put oil counters on. Opponent up to 5 lands. Glorious Sunrise from our opponent. I do like that card. Really want to see what our opponent's doing here. Let's do an Invoke Despair, though. It's good. I can't let him keep it. All right. Get in with the Proxy, get him to 17. Glorious Sunrise is down. We've got a Fleshgorger, Siphon Insight, and a couple of big scores. Opponent's got a Cankerbloom. Pretty good against our artifacts. Let's get in, see if they want to just do an old-fashioned trade and save some life. Nope, Proxy gets through. In that case, we're going to play out Xander's Lounge. Do we make a basic prototype? Yeah, let's do just a regular Fleshgorger. If they want to spend the Cankerbloom going after these folks, then that makes our Arcane Bombardment that much safer. Opponent got plenty of lands to do whatever they want. It's that last card in your hand. All right, well, we will Siphon Insight. End of their turn. Really want to get a look at what's going on over here. Another Filigree Silex. I was hoping to see how they were going to enable this strategy. It sounded kind of interesting. All right, our turn. We're going to go to combat. Get in for the attack. Opponent going to block the Proxy. Looks like they're thinking about a sacrifice. Yes, they do it. Have to pay the 3 for the Fleshgorger. Fleshgorger is down. Proxy is blocked. They remain at 12. Let's cast the Filigree Silex we picked up. Why not? Wait, there's black in here? Alright, opponent with Armored Scrap Gorger. Let's put a counter on this Silex. Big score. Discard a land. Nope, yeah, that land. We get Invoke Despair and Grixis Command. We can get back our Fleshgorger. Let's do a little Invoke Despair, though. Start drawing some cards. We get Impulse, Basic Mountain. Go ahead and get in for 2. Might as well play out a land here. Pass it on over. Opponent with just a Scrap Gorger. Let's Siphon Insight. See if we can't get another look at the top of that deck. Another Silex. And Evolved Spinoderms. This was some kind... Alright, opponent just scoops it up. Interesting game, though. Good game.